Hi, everybody. It's Jay. Thanks again for joining me for another sneak peek video preview of this week's full audiobook release here on Say with Jay. This week, we're going to be taking a look at Heartland Cheer. Heartland Cheer is the second in Jessie Gussman's Heartland Sweet Romance series. And before we get into the preview, I just wanted to take a moment to say one more time, thank you so very much to all of you who left such kind and warm words of encouragement and support regarding Jessie's and my 50th audiobook together that released last week, Always With You, Baxter Boys Book 1, which of course is available in the Say with Jay video library. It means so much, all of the kind messages that you've left, and all the love that we've received from you guys. Jessie and I both know that none of it would be possible without you, and we thank you very much for your gracious support. Okay, now back to this week's preview. Heartland Cheer is the story of Braxton Emerson and Krista Beaumont. Braxton was born and raised in Prairie Rose, Iowa, and he left the farm and met Krista, who was a television star of some small renown, and they had a whirlwind romance. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but I'll say they become estranged at some point. And Braxton has custody of their daughter, Arian. The book opens with Braxton wanting to provide Arian with a nice Christmas with her mother. And so they travel to Niagara Falls, New York, and I'll say this. Y'all have heard me talk so often about how wonderful Jessie is at her world building and, of course, her romance writing. But these opening chapters show she can write a pretty good suspense tale, too. That's all I'll say about that. But the sneak peek that we're going to listen to today is about Braxton bringing his wife Krista home to the farm for the very first time and meeting his family. Again, I don't want to say too much more, so without any further ado, let's take a listen to this sample for Heartland Cheer. Then come back this Friday and listen to the full release here on Say with Jay. Krista walked in the old farmhouse, admiring the wood trim, the high ceilings, the wide staircase and hall. "This way, Mom." Arian grabbed her hand and led her down the hall into a wide room that contained a table, obviously the dining room, and then into a large kitchen. From the modern conveniences, the new cupboards, and the granite countertops, it had been redone, and not that long ago. It was a huge kitchen, one that would be more than capable of providing the space for a person to feed lots of hungry farmhands, to can a bountiful harvest and store food for the winter, to hold a family sitting around the slightly smaller table than the one that was in the dining room, laughing at breakfast, enjoying a big dinner together, and eating a late supper after the barn work was finished. Her creative mind didn't have any trouble picturing that at all. "This is the kitchen. This is where we always have meetings. And when people come to visit us, they always come in the side door right there," Arian said, pointing to a door that seemed to go outside to a mudroom or a covered porch. Krista wasn't quite sure from looking through the curtain that was on the window of the door. "Then why didn't we come in that door to begin with?" she asked, finding it funny that she would ask a question like that when there were so many other things she wanted to know. I guess because the uncle's pickups were all parked there, and Daddy had to park in front of the porch. We don't usually use that door too much, though, especially when it snows, because then we track a bunch of mud in. Krista looked down at her boots. She hadn't even considered taking them off, although she had wiped them on the mat when she walked in. We don't usually take our shoes off. It takes too long to get them back on, and if you're just running in for something, it seems pointless, a large man said from beside her. I'm Krista, she said, holding out her hand. Krista, that's my youngest brother, Keen, Braxton said as he walked into the kitchen, his hands empty. She'd assumed he'd carried her suitcase in, but he must have left it by the steps, which made sense. Nice to meet you, Keen, she said, smiling as his large hand swallowed hers. Keen, this is Krista, my wife. So Braxton's finally bringing his wife to meet the rest of the family, Keen said, smirking a little but giving his older brother a serious glance. If he'd expected to get a rise out of Braxton, he was disappointed, but his face didn't show that as he looked back at Krista. Good to meet you, sis, he said, making Krista feel like an immediate member of the family. Hey there, Bonnie, Preston called, coming in and shoving Keen aside and foregoing with the whole handshaking thing, grabbing Krista in a big hug. She laughed a little and hugged him back. Glad to see you brought Clyde back to Iowa where he belongs. He wasn't made for the big city, Preston said, releasing her and taking one step back, his hands holding onto her shoulders. Has he been feeding you? You're looking a little skinny. We've been eating just fine, but I've been outside playing in the snow, and that probably takes a lot more energy than what I usually expend. Yeah, just can't get a workout in the gym like you can get in the yard building a snowman, Keen said, grinning at Arian, who looked like a cat that just ate all the cream. You guys need to be nice to my parents, she informed them, coming around and slipping an arm around Krista's elbow and hooking her other arm around Braxton's. They're finally here together, and you better not tease them or be annoying, she said, looking at both of her uncles. I thought there was a third brother, Krista said. That'd be me, a deep voice said, and Krista turned, seeing another man standing there that looked very much like Braxton, tall and dark, with sparkling blue eyes. I'm Elias, and I had some work to finish up, unlike these deadbeats who've been sitting around the house all day just waiting for you guys to show up so they could pick on you. That's not the slightest bit true. I wasn't waiting for that, Keen said, sounding offended. I was waiting to see if someone was going to feed me. Hi, this is Jay, and thanks for listening. If you're ready for another great audiobook, here's one we think you might like. Or check out the playlist with all our latest releases. Don't forget to subscribe to Say with Jay, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us what you liked in the comments.